Welcome to video 5. In this video, we will be thickening our geometry, cleaning it up a bit, and we'll add some supporting geometry so that we can have a nice, smooth subdivision surface free of smoothing artifacts. Then we'll finish off with adding some lip groove fastening features. Before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about thickening. Thickening can be a little bit tricky, and so I'm going to explore some examples to help us better understand how the tool works. The thicken functionality is most similar to a shell operation in SOLIDWORKS and is often referred to as a shell in polygonal modeling as well. I want to note something about polygons, speaking of. It's something that you've probably already noticed, and that is polygons are single-sided, which is why they are opaque from one side and transparent from the other. This is an important concept to internalize, especially if you plan on building models to export or to use in 3D printing. You're going to need an airtight model. All right, so the Thicken tool can be found here in the basic toolbox, and I'll click it here. Once you've activated the tool, which you do by clicking once inside the viewport, you'll see two tool handles that are very similar to the tool handles that we saw when using the Bevel tool. Again, these tool handles repeat throughout Modo's toolkit, which makes using the tools very intuitive. The tool can then be used to add thickness to the outside of the geometry, making the object larger, or when added to the inside of the geo can create an inner surface. Be careful though, if you look at this box on this side, which has these filleted edges, you can only thicken on the inside so much before you start creating intersecting geo, which quickly becomes problematic. So I'll pop into a wireframe mode here just so you can see what has happened. So this geometry is completely inverted and is now intersecting. It will be useless for exporting or using as a 3D printed object. So this is why I say keep your models as simple as possible for as long as possible. So in this case, it definitely would have been easier to save this filleting feature until after the thicken operation. And that would have worked a lot better. Okay, we are where we left off from video 4. The first thing I'm going to do is save this file down in the video 4 content. That looks good. I'll version up. Yes, thank you. All right, let's clean up this items list a little bit. I'll grab the front view, topmost reference image, and the bottommost holding Shift and hit Control G to group them in a group locator, which is a fancy word for a folder, and we'll call it reference images. And then I'll grab all of the button features as well, and let's group those in a group locator, and we'll call it buttons. Great, I'll put the camera with the directional light. This is the copy that we used to create the mesh constraint up here. We're not going to use it again, so I'll just delete it. And now we have our body. So let's hide the reference images and the buttons for now. We don't really need them. There's a few little cleanup things I'd like to do to this model that I didn't catch before. So let's go to the left view and take a look at our button slider here. I want this center edge to match the center edge of the opposite side, and it currently does not. So let's go into vert mode and let's just select these verts here, like so. Then I'll hit W for move and turn on snapping, and I want to snap to this central vertex right there, and then go to a right view, and then I can just move them over and snap to that edge. Spacebar to drop the tool. Let's go back to a left view and do the same down here. I'll select these edges. Careful not to select any from the other side. It's easy to do. We're good. W for move, and let's grab that central vertex, go over to a right view, and then we can just move it over till it snaps to the center point. Now, we'll have to redo these edges here because they are now skewing the shape of our slotted cut here. So I'll just grab this edge, here, 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 and here, and let's delete these. And then we can just use the cut tool to connect them back up again. Make sure you have multi-slice turned on, and I'll just cut all the way across this edge. It won't cut all the way through, but it'll make sure this edge is straight. Holding Shift, I can reactivate the tool, and I'll just do the same thing for both of these edges left over. Whoops. Here to here, and from here to here. Good. That looks great. All right, so we have to split our object here in half. So I'll come to a right view or a left view, it doesn't really matter. And we're going to use the lasso selection using the middle mouse button. And we're just going to do this in little pieces. Let me turn off snapping. So I'll just make a selection like so. Oops, I meant to select polygons. You can hit Alt-3 to change your selection to polygons. And then I'll just make my way down the product here, selecting the polygons that I need. And I'll just take a look around and make sure that I caught all of the polygons. I think we are good. So I'm just going to hit Control X to cut these. I'll hit N to make a new mesh layer and Control V to paste those polygons in there. Let's call this back part. And then pop over into items mode, hit Control D to duplicate this, and we'll call the duplicant front part. Front part. And then I'll group the front and back part together in a group locator, and we can call these enclosure parts. And then let's see, I'll take the back part here and go into polygons mode, and I'll just copy them, Control C, and paste them into this body layer. So you have a duplicate version of both the front and back parts. In case you make any mistakes and you want to come back and try from this starting point, you'll always have this initial mesh right here. But for now, let's hide it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is thicken the front part because it is much easier to thicken than the back part. So to do this, we're going to use the Bevel tool. So the first thing I'll do, let's hide this back part. The first thing I'll do is hit Control C to select these polygons. Of course, if nothing is selected, everything is selected, so they are now copied. Let's hit B for bevel, and then we want to make our object 1.5 millimeters thick. So we need a shift value of negative 1.5 millimeters. And then we can hit Apply. And you can see that our object has thickened. And I've actually added a segment here, which I didn't need to do. So I'll hit Control Z to go back and I'll delete this segment. And let's do that one more time. Now we'll want to flip these polygons, hit F for flip, and then paste in those copied polygons. And now we have a whole piece here. They're not connected. As you can see, if I double click the inside, it doesn't select the whole object, but that's easy. We can just go to Mesh Edit and go to Mesh Cleanup, and it'll connect any overlapping edges or vertices and clean up any sort of rogue floating vertices as well. All right, so that's done. Pretty good. Let's go to the back part. And the thing that's going to make this difficult is our battery hatch. It's going to mess up our bevel thicken, and I'll show you what it'll do if we try. So let's just apply the same bevel, and you can see that it's now sort of drooped in the edges, and that's because the thicken operation or the bevel operation is trying to extend or push or extrude each surface along the normal. So this one's trying to go this way and this one's trying to go this way, and then this edge just kind of gets pulled between the middle. It just sort of picks this average position between the two of them, and then you get these sort of droopy corners, which we definitely do not want. So let's Control Z out of there, and we're actually just going to get rid of this altogether for now. So I'll click here to here and hit Shift G to select between. And then I'll hit Shift up arrow to expand my selection. Here to here, Shift G, and then Shift up arrow to expand that selection. Control X, let's cut those polygons out just for now and for a new mesh layer and paste them in there. And we'll worry about those in a moment. All right, now we can do the same thing for this. Control C to copy the polygons, B for bevel, and let's just apply that parameter. Spacebar to drop the tool. Let's flip those polygons, paste our old polygons in, and then we can perform a mesh cleanup to fix this. Okay, so let's tackle this battery hatch. I'm going to hide the back part for now, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to break this apart, use some logic steps here to get this done properly. Of course, we're going to also have to add draft, which is going to add an extra element of difficulty. So let's delete this loop of polygons, and I'll delete this loop of polygons. I'm just going to scale these to 0. I know they're flat, but I just like to double check these sorts of things. That looks good. All right, so let's grab these polygons and we're going to hit Shift X for the Extrude tool. And I'll just click in the viewport just to show you how it works. This allows you to extrude along a single axis in any direction, like so. So it's a bit limited, but it's also very useful when you do need it for a particular thing. So let's set in 1.5 millimeters, spacebar to drop the tool. Now we can add our draft. So I'll select this polygon, hit L for loop, grab these polygons here, and then Shift G. Now we can go to System, Run Script. We'll run our CAD Draft Maker script, and we want a draft of 3 degrees. Okay. Now it's definitely there. So this is a bit of a tricky part. I'm going to bring back the back piece so I can remember what I'm doing here. We're going to have to bevel these polygons out. So I'll hit L for loop, B for bevel, and these are going to go outward. So we don't need a negative value anymore. I'll hit apply, spacebar to drop the tool. All right. So let's see, if I select this and this together, you can see that these polygons essentially make up the back face, and these polygons are going to attach to the inside face. And we have some extra polygons that we don't need anymore, so let's just delete those out. So I don't need these polygons anymore, so I'll hit L for loop and delete them. I won't need these, L for loop, delete. And I won't need this loop of polygons, L for loop, delete. Oh, I didn't delete this loop. L for loop, delete. All right, so what's going to happen is this edge is going to reconnect with this edge, which we'll do with the bridge tool. Just click to activate it, spacebar to drop the tool. And now on this side, we won't need this loop of polygons here, L for loop, delete. And this set of polygons here is going to give us some problems. You can see that if we were to try to reconnect these edges with these edges, we'll give ourselves an undercut, which is definitely what we do not want. So I'm just going to delete them all together. We can put them back in later, and I'll delete this loop of polygons as well. Now, we need to connect this edge to this edge, but that will just give us an undercut as well. So what we're going to do is select this edge, and we'll move it forward 1.5 millimeters. Or upwards, I should say, on the y-axis, 1.5 millimeters. Spacebar to drop the tool. And now I can select this edge, and bridge. Click once inside the viewport to activate that tool. And we'll do the same on the other side. Here to here, bridge. I can select this loop here and just paint deselect these edges. Bridge. And then final bridge. Here to here, and here to here. Bridge, make sure you have auto connection turned on, and there you go. Now, we still have some more work to do. If I go back to the back part here, you can see this inside edge here no longer lines up with this edge where we need it to be. Of course, we could always just activate the move tool with snapping and grab one set of edges at a time and move them up, but I'm going to use this as an opportunity to show you a new tool. So first, let's select this loop of polygons and delete them. Then I will grab this edge loop right here. I'll go to the basic toolbox and go to snaps and precision and select absolute scaling. From here, we're going to grab size, and it's going to grab the size of this perimeter of edges here. And we want to add on 3 millimeters to each of these directions. So I'm going to hit this button here first, which is the gang edit. I'll hit it twice, and then I'll add 3 millimeters. Hit enter, and it'll add the same value to each of the parameters. And then I can just hit explicit scale. And you can see that we are all lined up now. So I'm going to take this battery hatch here that we made, and I'll cut the polygons. Pop out of my automatic action center here. Oops, I'll cut those polygons. Go back to the back piece, paste the polygons. And you can see that our edges aren't quite lined up here, so we could go in and reconnect all of these edges, but I don't want to do that one at a time, so I'll just delete this loop, delete, and then I'll select this edge loop and this edge loop, and I'll just bridge the two of them together. There we go. So we've maintained draft on our battery hatch, which is great. You can see. And we've connected everything together, and everything is thickened. Oops, one last step. Let's just connect these guys together. Bridge. And there we go. Let's take a peek at our reference image to make sure that we're on point here. Let's look at the back view. And if I pop into smooth view, that looks quite right to me. All right, let's delete this mesh layer that we don't need anymore. Bring back the front piece. Everything is looking pretty good. Now we're going to have to add supporting geometry so that this will hold up as a subdivision surface. Now we're going to need to add extra geometry so this holds up as a subdivision surface. So let's do that right now. So if you hit Shift Tab, we'll go into a Catmull-Clark mode, which is a smoothing algorithm. And what happens is it makes our model look rather puffy. So we're going to have to add supporting geometry to either sides of our edges. So edges need inline edges to support them. So if I go to edge mode and hit add loop and add a loop here, go back into our smoothing mode, and you can see that this edge is holding up a lot better. And not only is it holding up better, it just looks better as well. So this is the key to polygonal modeling here. You want to create nice smooth edge flow that creates these nice smooth edges when you do flip into a smoothing mode like Catmull-Clark. All right, let's add another edge. Oh, did we not connect that edge over here? No, we did not. All right, let's do that now. Let's connect this edge, which I neglected to connect before. This won't be a big problem. Connected to here. You can see there's some geometry that's a little bit pinched here. We're going to fix that later on, and it won't be too difficult. All right. So I'll add an extra edge loop to support this guy here. So I'll go to add loop, and I'll add a loop right here. And I'll add another loop right here. Now edges tend to need an inline supporting edge on both sides of them, but we can't really just add a loop here. We need to fix these quads first to do that, but I kind of want to do that later on. I just want to be able to add a supporting inline edge to everything on this face, including this screen cutout. So I'll do that with the Bevel tool using a polygon bevel. So let me just select all of these edges. I'll go from here to here, Shift G. And we're going to select the entire front face of our object. Make sure you don't select anything that you don't want. That'll definitely mess up our polygon bevel. Okay, so from a front view, well, actually, let's stay in a perspective view so you can see what's going on. I'll hit B for bevel, and then I'll just click once inside the viewport to activate the tool, and I'll drag this red scale handle in a little bit. And you can see that we've added an inline edge everywhere, including our screen. Maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger here. Spacebar to drop the tool. There we go. You can see these edges hold up quite well now. Uh-oh, we made a little bit of a mistake here. Let's go back. I missed that selection. B for bevel, and let's just apply the same parameter that I had the last time. There we go. Now I'll delete this edge here. This is a little redundant. It's definitely not needed, so I'll just delete that out of the way. And I think we're looking good. Well, again, we'll fix up these little wonky edges later on. Now that I've shown you how to add supporting geometry to the front face of this part, I'll let you do the same thing on the other side. And here I've completed some of the supporting geometry for the back piece, and I'll walk you through doing the rest. I'll select 2 adjacent polygons, or 3, 2 up here, Alt-C again, and then we'll add supporting inline edges here. I'll add a single loop just in here, like so. And then I'll select this polygon, hit Shift-G, B for bevel, click once inside the viewport, and let's add some supporting edges here. And actually, I will delete this supporting edge and then select this loop of polygons. And then from here to here, Shift-G, B for bevel, and I'll just reapply that same setting. There we go. That way we've added supporting geometry, supporting inline edges to the interior cavity here for the battery. All right, same thing to the other side. Let's select 2 adjacent polygons, Alt-C, get in close here to get a better look. That looks about right. I'll select all of these polygons. All right, B for bevel, click, and we're gonna have some problems here in the corner. You can see that our polygons are starting to overlap a little bit, and that's because we need to give them some breathing room. So it's always important to be scanning around, watching how the tools interact with the polygons so you can catch little mistakes like this. So we'll grab these edges here and these edges here. We can do them both at the same time. And we can't just move them up because they have to follow this profile of the face here. So I'm just going to use the slide tool, and we can slide both of these up at the same time, and that looks a lot better. Okay, select 2 edges and 2 edges, Alt-C, like so. You know, I might want to do these ones on their own, just so I can get them a little bit closer, like so. And then this loop of polygons and these polygons, and I think we'll be done for the back face. B for bevel, let's just apply this. Great, now hit Shift-Tab, see how it looks. It's holding up quite nicely. All right, select the front and back together. And we're going to work out the parting line here between the 2 pieces. And if you zoom in, you can see that we have some issues. The edges are overlapping on the inside of the object. You can see it here. This is because of our draft and our bevel operation. So the draft gave us this 3-degree angle on either side, and then the bevel thickened or extruded the polygons normal to each polygon's surface. So you can see that would obviously cause this draft, but it's pretty even throughout the whole object, and we can fix this rather easily. However, there's a few little things I want to fix up first. So let's start with the front piece. I'll hide the back part for now. You can see that our polygons kind of got squished and inverted here. This doesn't look very good. So I'm going to select this edge and this edge. And when edges are a little problematic like this, I like to just delete them and then replace them. You can see that eliminates our problem. Spacebar to drop the tool, and I'll do the same thing for the back part. This edge and this edge, delete, C for cut, grab that from here to here, and then reconnect it, and we're good to go. Spacebar to drop the tool. All right, so I'll grab the two of them together so we can fix this problem at the same time. Grab two adjacent edges, hold the up button until you've selected the entire perimeter, like so. Grab two adjacent edges and hold the up arrow until you've selected the entire perimeter, like so. And do the same thing on the other side, like this. Hold the up arrow. There we go. So we need to straighten all of these out, and we want to do it all at once. So to do that, we're going to use a local action center. Notice I'm grabbing the center from this menu and not here. Local action center, but we also want to use an auto axis. That way we can have tool handles that align with the world axes, but scale each of them individually or locally. So hit R for scale, and then just scale them in on the Z axis. Spacebar to drop the tool. Let's zoom in here, and you can see that we're all straightened out, but we're overlapping just a little bit. And that's because it averaged out the scale operation and placed the new location sort of where those two lines originally crossed, or at least in the middle of them. So that's not a big deal. Let's remove our action center, grab these polygons, turn on snapping, hit W for move, and I'll just snap to this vertex here, move it out just a little bit, turn off snapping. I'm also just going to move it even more. I'm going to move it 3/4 of a millimeter on the Z, and that'll set us up to create our lip groove fastening feature. All right, how are we going to do that? Well, the first thing I want to do actually is create some more supporting edges along these edges. So what I'll do is I'll select two polygons in each of these little sections, and then I'll eventually hit L for loop to select the whole loop of them, and we're going to add some supporting inline edges. So let's just go through here selecting everything. L for loop. I think I got everything. Yep. And then I'll hit Alt-C. Make sure that I have count of 2, symmetry turned on, and I'll just add this loop in here. Symmetry allows us to have an even and equal offset from these edges. But that means you'll have to go deleting that extra edge on the other side, which is a lot easier to do when you're in a smoothing mode like this. And just go around, grab those edges and delete them. Okay. So I want you to grab two adjacent edges here and here, Alt-C, and we'll add our supporting edges here, like so. And then go to Add Loop, holding Control, add a loop at the exact center point, and then holding Shift Control to reactivate the tool and hit center, do it for the other side, and then select that central edge and hit Shift X. We're going to do an edge extrude, and then set a width to 100 tenth of a millimeter, and then hit apply. Spacebar to drop the tool, and then delete that central edge. So this is just going to be our tolerance between our lip groove. You can set that to whatever distance you would like. Now, let's select 2 adjacent polygons here, hit L for loop, grab these ones as well, L for loop, 2 adjacent polygons here, L for loop, and L for loop. Now, of course, we don't want lip groove features in our button through hole, so we're going to have to deselect these polygons, and I'll just go through and do that now. Okay, I have everything selected, and oh, I forgot this one. Hold on. Let me just do this last guy here. Making selections like this can be rather tedious, and sometimes you need to access these selections more than once, and you definitely don't want to go about doing this more than once. So after I deselect these guys, I'll show you a method to save selection sets, which comes in handy quite often when you need to do repetitive, tedious selection sets like this. All right, so go to Select, Assign Selection Set, and I'll just say Lip Groove. Hit Enter. So if I ever drop this selection, I can go to my Lists parameter, which you can find next to the, well, within the Properties panel, and then come down here to Polygons. You can open up Polygons, and there'll be By Selection Set, and then you can hit the plus sign next to the Lip Groove selection set that you created, and your selection set will be right there. Handy. All right, now hit B for bevel. We want to bevel these out 1/2 millimeter, 0.5, and then I'll just apply this. Spacebar to drop the tool, and that looks good. We'll need to add some supporting geometry to our lip groove features, so let's do that now. I'll grab this edge, and this edge, and this edge. These ones are redundant to me for now. I want to create all of those supporting edges manually, so I'll grab here and here, Alt-C, and then I can create a supporting edge like so. And actually, let's make sure we do that to the entire object. 2 edges there and there. That'll handle that. Here, here, and here to here. And I think that handles everything. Yep, okay. Let's just zoom in on one here. Alt-C, and then you can just add your edge loops. All right, we'll have to do the same from here to here and here to here. We won't need to go around selecting everything. Alt-C. There we go. And then from here and here, we can hit Alt-C again. And there we go. Shift-Tab, you can see that those hold up quite nicely. We'll need to add some supporting geometry to our front piece here. This recess isn't holding up as well as I'd like it to. So let's just go into the front part. I'm going to hide the back part for now, pop back into face mode, and let's just start adding edge loops where we need them. So I'll add an edge loop here, and another one here, and one here. You can see I have these square polygons in the corners that let me know that this edge is going to be well supported. And we'll do here and here, here, and I think that is good. Spacebar to drop the tool. Now we'll need to add some more supporting geometry to the front face. It's not holding up as well as I'd like it to. So let's hide the back part, pop back into face mode. Let's just fix these edges really quickly first. So I'll select here to here, Shift G, here to here, Shift G. You can see that they're not even really causing that much problem. It's not entirely necessary to be a stickler for these sorts of things, but I'm going to smooth these ones out anyway. Here to here, Shift G, here to here, Shift G. All right, so we need our local center and our auto axis. R for scale, we just scale these down together, and on the Z as well. And now we're all straight. Shift Tab, looks good. All right, so we need to add more supporting geometry to this recess, and I'll do so by adding loops. So let's just add a loop here, and here, and here. I'd like to bring this edge down a little bit closer because it's going to act as the supporting inline edge. From here to here. And then we'll just activate the slide tool and slide this down into place, like so. All right, let's add another loop here and another supporting loop here. All right, that supports our recess quite fine. Let's just add supporting inline edges for this screen. Alt-C. There we go. Too easy. Now, the thing with adding edge loops is they can get out of control really quickly, and if you have many edge loops circling around your product, especially if you have rounded edges, you can start to mess up the connection between them. So it's not giving us a huge problem here, but you can see this is starting to create a kink where there isn't on the other side. So it's good to know how to consolidate edge loops. So we're going to do that together right now. So I'll pop back into face mode here. And the way we do this, I'm going to add a loop here around there. That looks fine. Do the same thing on this side, like so. And then I'll activate the cut tool and I'll cut from here to here to here. And then I'll delete these edges. You can see this is a quad and it's consolidated 3 edges down to 1. So we're going to do that in all the corners. C for cut from here to here to here. Let's delete these edges. Pop around to the other side. Repeat the process. C for cut from here to here and to here. There we go, and now we'll have to do the same thing to the inside. C for cut, here, here, and here. Rinse, repeat. And now we can delete out these extra edges that we no longer need anymore. There we go. Shift tab. And that looks great. Let's just do this one last loop in here. Let's select 2 edges, go Alt-C. Actually, I want to do this one a little bit different. I'm going to add a loop in the center, hold Control, and then I'll grab these interior polygons here, L for loop. I want it to make this look a bit like a chamfer, like so. So we'll need to add Alt-C supporting edges here and now also here. Cool. Bring the back part back in here. Right, I think we're on track. Don't forget to save, and I will see you in the next video.